take 1 minute right now. We want to take our viewers to the Broward County Courthouse in Florida, where accused gunman Nikolas Cruz is there for a hearing. He's facing 17 counts of premeditated murder. Let's listen in.
Vice President? Yes, Your Honor. Lenny Mandel on behalf of the state, Your Honor.
I'm sorry,
Sherry Tate on behalf of the state.
The defendant is also present. The defendant is also present. Is that correct? Mr. Cruz is present. Malik Smith on his behalf.
Diane Petty, Mr. Cruz.
Let me start off by saying that although I didn't consider any of these matters to be confidential, an order has been entered on Friday by Judge Robolo. I have reviewed these materials thoroughly, and they deal solely with the public defender's office having access to their own client's person while in the Broward County Jail. I don't believe that the state has suffered any prejudice by these matters being kept confidential, and I am going to leave everything the way it is, with the caveat that in the future, going forward, all matters in this case are going to be heard by this court. And if there is a motion to keep something confidential, the motion, at the very least, is going to be heard by this court in the presence of all of the lawyers and the defendant. Does anyone have any questions?
Judge, are you keeping those orders under seal?
An order has already been entered. Again, I believe I made it clear on Friday that I didn't feel it should be confidential, and I said it for today. But what's done is done. Again, it deals solely with the public defender's access or the defense's access to their own client's person, which, had the state been noticed, I don't think the state would have had any objection or any standing to object to them accessing their own client. And because the issue is so very limited, as far as I can tell, I'm going to leave it the way it is. And just, again, I have a copy of the administrative order for each of you, so that you know in the future the matters are going to be heard by this court in Division FJ.
Judge, the only issue is that the state, pursuant to the case law as well as the rules, believe that whatever motions were filed by the defense should be accessible to both the state and to all parties. It is part of a court proceeding. I have found some case law that's directly on point that the defense is not entitled to conduct any type of discovery in secret. They did make a request, which was granted at magistrate court, to have access to their client for purposes of photographing him. The magistrate judge had no problem, but it is the state's position that whatever the court is in possession of as way as motions should be unsealed. Now, if you want the state to file a written motion unsealing it, we can certainly do that, but we are prepared today to argue why it should not be under seal.
I don't disagree with you. However, I just feel that because an order has already been issued by this court, meaning a judge in the 17th Circuit, that in the end, because, like I said, it's a very limited issue. I believe the defense was entitled to what they were asking for, and this court has already ordered that the motions and the order be sealed. I'm going to just leave it the way it is.
Okay, we'll file some appropriate paperwork. Thank you.
Ms. Danielle, did you want to say anything?
Nothing at this time.
All right, thank you.
Ma'am, have a seat.
Your Honor, would you be able to prepare a written order for the request?
Sure, thank you.
No, we're not having any comments. There we just heard lawyers for the state of Florida and for Mr. Cruz arguing, going back and forth about how much of this case should be sealed and also how much access defense attorneys should have to their client.
Manny, if you're standing by with us still, can you let us know what plans there are in place for the funerals of the victims?
There have actually been several funerals already, and more are scheduled for this week. Again, 17 people who have to be laid to rest. And one of the really difficult things for a teacher that we spoke with today is the fact that a student's funeral and his fellow teacher's funeral was happening yesterday around the same time, and he had to pick which one to go to. He said he phoned the mother of the girl, and it was a heart-wrenching conversation, but he attended the funeral of his fellow teacher because it was someone that he felt he needed to be there for his family as well. So that gives you an idea right now. Clearly, people are focused on the investigation, on what's happening in the courtroom, but for a lot of people here right now, they're still processing all these emotions, still going to funerals, one after the other. And of course, as you can see behind me, the cars might make it a little difficult right now, but there are all those balloons and flowers over there. The big memorial that it started really to develop yesterday at the fence of the school when when police allowed people to finally get a little bit closer. That building back there is where the shooting happened.
Manny, what a devastating choice to have to make between two funerals there. We cut you off a little bit earlier when I had asked what you'd learned about the way the suspect was able to buy guns and whether he hid them from the family he was living with. How did that work?
Well, what we know from reports about what the family has said so far is that they did understand that he owned weapons, and I believe that the way they approached that, according to what we've heard, is that they told him they needed to be locked up, and they believe that they had the key to that the place where they were locking him up, that cabinet, but he may have had another key. They had told him that in order to use them, he had to ask for permission, but clearly that did not happen. Again, the family saying that they had no indication that he may be able to carry out something like this, but were aware that he did have some weapons. It's not clear how many of the weapons he disclosed to them that he had.
Manuel Bojorquez, thank you so much for all your incredible reporting in a very difficult and tragic situation.